welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. I'm your host, James Lariello, and today I'm so excited to do a post-Worlds debrief. That's right, we're about a month removed from the U.S. Team going over to Canfranc, Spain to participate in the World Mountain Running Championship, and there's no two people better to do a debrief of that particular set of races than Paul Kirsch and Tom Hooper. Paul Kirsch, the U.S. Mountain and Trail Running Team lead, who went over to participate and help the team out at the World Mountain Running Championship, along with Tom Hooper, liaison for the USATF, as well as the race director of 603 Endurance. It was fun to catch up with both guys. We talked about a lot of the prevailing storylines coming out of Canfranc post-Worlds. We got into some of the individual performances. We talked a lot about individual races and different things that went down. Just what it was like operating over there, getting to participate in the aid station situation, as well as work with the individual athletes. It was super fun. I think you guys will enjoy this one. It's a good little debrief of Worlds. Like I said, even though we're about a month removed, I think there's a lot of good value here, and I think you'll take a lot away from it. So without further ado, Paul Kirsch and Tom Hooper.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Tom Hooper, Paul Kirsch, welcome to the Steep Stuff Podcast. How's it going, guys?
Fantastic. Good.
Yeah, excited to have you guys on. It's been, I know it's been a really busy summer for the both of you, with all the racing and everything that's gone on. And obviously you're just getting back now and getting settled from being out at the World Mountain Running Championships, just a week plus removed. Guys, maybe I know the audience knows who both of you are, especially those in the know both of you very well, but maybe for the general audience, introduce yourselves and maybe talk a little bit about your roles with what you guys did at Worlds this past year.
Sure. Tom, do you want to go first so we don't step on each other?
I'm just a glorified water boy, so that's all I do. That's it. I mean, we're staff members for Team USA. I'm specifically for the long trail and the short trail course. Carry bags and get people through aid stations.
Fill Jim Walmsley's water bottles.
That's right.
Well, I was going to say I'm gonna embellish a little bit what Tom said there, what he's doing. We're both part of the Team USA staff. I changed from the U20 manager to the overall team leader this year. Tom has been the trail team leader for the last 3 Worlds. But really, honestly, Tom's work starts somewhere around when this Worlds ends. And he's already thinking about how are we going to get the best athletes there in South Africa in 2 years. Tom's right. While he's there, he's an aid station junkie. But beforehand, he's getting a list of, you may have seen it on the live stream, but he's got the table set out. He's got a sheet of paper with specific instructions for every single athlete on the table because, we're crewing for 12 people per race and you don't want to slow them down. So he's doing all that legwork ahead of time. And then, legwork we're doing, selecting the teams, finding, selection races beforehand, lots of promotion, things like that. And then helping them with travel logistics and all the questions and everything. Pretty much if I had to sum it down to a single thing, we're trying to do everything we can for these athletes. So all they have to do is race. They're not worried about, how do I get a ride to the start? What do I do with my clothes when I'm in the call? I loved Helen Faulkner called the call room, the 200-meter petting zoo. I love that. But like they had to go in there pretty early. So then they've got clothes. They're trying to stay warm and we're on the sides that, or we might be out on the course yelling places to them, depending on what the event is. Cheerleaders at the aid station, all those kinds of things is really like what we cover with all of it.
It's amazing. Maybe go into, well, I don't know. We could talk more about roles, or we can jump more into this year. I mean, I think this year was a very special year for the teams. Obviously, you know, third overall team in general. Obviously, numerous medals across the board. We just witnessed, I feel like, American trail and mountain running really like step onto the stage this year in a lot of ways, especially in an extremely competitive year. Guys, what are your thoughts? Like, what are your takeaways after this year? Was it excitement? Was it like stoke for the future? Like what's your kind of your closing thoughts from just, especially just being removed?
You want to take that?
This is me and Tom are going to stare awkwardly at each other.
Yeah.
The whole
Sorry.
podcast.
I can make it a little easier.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, for me, like I've been involved with the team a long time, and it's just striking to me how it's just getting more and more competitive. Like Uganda and Kenya coming with full teams for all the mountain races, including the U20 races. And just in general, like, you know, Jim won. I think there's a lot of people you could casually ask and say, well, who's going to win? And everyone say, oh, Walmsley's going to win. He was pushed by a bunch of people, and, you know, he had to raise it to another level to win, which is amazing that he was able to do that. But secondly, I just feel like it's becoming a true world champs. 70 plus countries, it's just at another level, and it keeps getting more and more competitive.
We can always talk about the winners, but we get to talk about the rest of the teammates that because of the format, and that it's a time format for the long and short trail, to see those guys where maybe they would have pulled the plug, to watch them fight so hard as they're one of us. You know what I mean? When you're out there, like to see them hurting and not having the best day, and they are just still crushing it because they know every second counts. I think that's the most impressive thing to see.
Yeah. It's the competition level is crazy. I want to pivot a little bit and talk about, and just kind of get your guys' perspective on just logistically trying to put something like this together and bringing a team out there, right? So obviously, I know you guys brought David Sinclair with you. I just talked to David, actually. I just had him on the other day. He's a funny guy. I love David. I know you guys all traveled out there together, but in the early stages of this, when you're trying to put everything together, how are you planning roommate selections and the figuring out the food situation and the room situation and all just the logistical stuff? Like, how much goes into that? And is it just a one person job, or is it a team based thing?
I would say from the point we first select the team back, like what was it? Gorge was April? Mm-hmm. I would say average 10 hours a week just spent on the side doing things, and it gets busier suddenly when the whole team's selected. But yeah, you're going through trying to figure out, are people going to stay at the team hotel? And, you know, finances is always a thing. Our funding comes mostly from USA Track and Field, but then ATRA does like its supplements to cover the rest of the funding. So that's a big part of it. It's trying to educate people. There's a bunch of forms they have to fill out. They have to go through background checks and safe sport and things like that. So it's really, I think I joke with my wife, it's like being ahead of a field trip of 48 adults. Did you get your permission slip signed? Did you do this and everything? And everybody does. But like at the same time, these are all people who are dedicated to doing a lot of training, and they may not be thinking to check their email all the time. And so it's really staying on top of that stuff. And then, you know, Tom and Anita are going to dive into looking at the courses. We come up with questions because we can ask questions of like what's really in the required gear bag and things like that. And the athletes will have questions too. So it's really just kind of ongoing and then you have some people that, I'm going to Europe early. Is there any way I can get my team kit shipped early? And so it's working with USATF, and I can't say enough about Brad Burling there and Rob Mullett of what they do, just like to jump through hoops of, hey, somebody needs their kit by this day. Can you help get it out there? And, overnighted the kit to them so they could have it before they went to Europe, stuff like that. And it's really just kind of managing a big giant project.
Okay. Very cool. I do have a kit question for you guys. I saw and Tom, you've got one. I saw you photographed in it. The Nike, I should have had you wear it for the podcast. The dope Nike ACG shirt. How did you guys?
Tom, I have one too. We both should have worn them. That's our missed opportunity. Yes.
All right. 2027. What, how did you guys get a hold of those? Was Nike just like willing to pass them along for the Worlds team, or like how did that come about?
Tom started the conversation a couple years ago trying to get it, and we weren't successful 2 years ago. And then literally that stuff was brought by Nike the day before the races, because it may sound funny, but you can't just have a shirt because it's World Athletics. It had 2 logos on it. So they can't just do the shirt with the 2 logos. They have to put USA on it, and then we have to submit it. Not us, but USATF has to submit it to be part of the official team kit before it can be accepted. And then the shorts, they were able to get shorts with pockets. That's something athletes have been asked for a while. But also there were 2 logos on those shorts. So they had to make shorts that only had 1 logo to meet the World Athletics stuff. And so honestly, it was like hope and hope. We knew we were going to get it, but we didn't have it yet. And so it was really exciting. Rob Mullet brought an entire suitcase of shorts with him, and then the shirts showed up at Worlds at his hotel room, Rob Mullet from USATF.
So cool. And what's the initial reaction of these shirts? Are they groundbreaking? Are they legit? What do you guys think? It's a fashion statement, yeah.
It's a fashion statement. We all can look like Liam Merrill right now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I think he lives in his, dude. I don't think he takes this off.
Yeah.
Tom, I got to ask you, as far as courses go, I know we've had a lot of extensive conversations leading up to Worlds, just in general regarding the different courses, selection races, and things like that. These courses, I would say, outside of the Vertical and Mountain Classic, seemed much more it seemed like the Sky Runners shined on them a lot more. They were tough, they were rugged, just kind of out there. What was your initial thoughts on these courses?
It wasn't my initial thought. It was the aftermath, that to hear these guys being like, that was way harder than we thought. I think this really ate up some of the guys, or some of the athletes. I think it was a lot harder than they thought it was going to be. Yep. I'm not 100% sure. We knew the distance, we knew the vert, so it's not either one of those. It's more so the actual terrain, I think, that got them.
Interesting. Paul, would you agree? Was there any takeaways specifically course wise that really stuck out to you?
Well, I remember hearing from some of the athletes that previewed the course, when they were previewing it, there weren't even trail sections in some sections. They're running through figuring, well, it's probably going to go through here. And so I do think that's part of it, kind of like what Tom was saying, is for those races, they kind of created trail by putting flags across rocks. And, in some cases, I think there was a race 2 weeks before that, there was a marathon. Yep. So I heard from some of the athletes it was good that had worn down the grass in spots. Oh, other side note, no one expected: ground wasps.
Oh yeah, we got.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Maud was stung,
everybody was stung.
Everybody was stung.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget who it was talking about it. They're running along, and all of a sudden they see somebody ahead of them shaking wildly with their hands, and it's because they just ran over a ground wasp nest. And it's that perfect time of year where the wasps are angry, the queen's dead, but they were just everywhere, from what I understood, in certain parts of the races.
Interesting. That's crazy.
Hard to train for that.
Yeah, it's something you don't. I was talking to Jasmine a few days before the race, and I know Jasmine Lowther, and I know she had spooked a wild boar on the course. She stepped over a tree trunk, and it was hanging out underneath of it, and that was kind of cool. I was like, oh wow, so there's a lot of crazy wildlife out there, but wasps were not something I had on the bingo cards. So,
right.
Yeah,
I don't think they did either.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. All right. Any initial reactions and takeaways from like I want to break it up and talk about the different courses, like long trail, short trail, and stuff like that. But before we do that, I do want to talk about like any initial reactions or takeaways, like from performances. Any performances that stuck out to you guys that were just that kind of blew you away, or yeah.
I mean, it's
Go ahead,
sad to
Tom.
say it. It's sad to say it because it's, Katie shied. You're like, you expect it, but I think it dulls down about how impressive it is. You know what I mean? We're so used to her just crushing, and so you're like, yep, she won. But she does so well, and I think it just waters it down because we expect it, which is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think even related to that, I feel like we both got to witness, as I refer to the cult of Jim and Katie, like the pressure on them to succeed. Every water stop or every aid station, there's 10 people filming it. And it's like they don't have a moment's anonymity from the moment they arrive there. Like, they could just be hanging out and people are going to come up for selfies and everything. I admire, first of all, their patience with their fans. Like, it's impressive. They like, sure, I'll do a selfie with you. And that's like all day long. But also, like, it's like Jim had more competition, but Katie, like, the expectation was there. And so the best she could do was meet expectations. That's pretty crazy when you have all eyes on you like that.
I find it really interesting too. Something that really stuck out to me was, and maybe this was more personified on the short trail versus the long trail, just because like the two athletes that I figured would shine the most on the long trail, because we just kind of figure that Jim and Katie are going to do amazing. But I just really got to say, I have a lot of respect for their range, because that course is not easy. It's not super runnable. There's a lot of technicality to it. If anything, it's more of a sky course.
Right.
And you think that would favor a different kind of athlete, and yet this still Jim and Katie figured it out and still performed to their highest potential on there, which is, I don't know. I got to say that's an interesting thing, because that's a thread I kind of want to get into with both of you, as far as like just talking about the courses where you guys can tell me as much as you want to, or what you think about this, but it's a weird world championship where the course itself, I feel like, favored more of the sky runner. If you're not good at technical terrain, I feel like this stuff ate you alive. So did it pick the best person on the day, or did it pick the world champion? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I think we have to go all the way back to the committee to talk about that, because we're going into the unknown as the committee when we have like short and long trail for resume spots, right? And I think we've talked about this before, where you kind of have to pick two absolute people that fly. Then you have to pick two crushers that are just amazing at climbing. And then you pick some utility guys to hopefully get in the middle, because we go into it blind. We don't know what this course looks like. We've got it on paper. We've got, 53 miles and 18,000 feet of vert. Right. We know nothing else. So I think it has to go back to that, where I think we did the best job we could do picking, just being like, we need to get some of these people, because we could, if we knew how technical it would be, then we would probably pick different candidates, right?
Do you think that, you tell me, do you think that would be like, does that change the calculus then, kind of knowing?
I think it has to.
Interesting.
I think it has to, right?
Yeah. Well, like, Finn brought this up, and I thought it was very interesting, because he had like mentioned a few really good technical runners, like Kyle Richardson being one. He's like, is that like our secret weapon, with the technical course or something like that, like different type of people, different types of athletes, not just because, like, if you do look at the spread for us on the American side, I forget how many JFK winners we had, like just on the long trail for the men, quite a few, and in the short trail too with Seth. So it's interesting. Like, I don't know. I also feel like fitness is fitness. So the best athlete on the day is generally the best athlete that's going to win, I would guess, but it's hard to say,
Right.
Well, and I look at, to me, one of the biggest challenges whenever we have this race, and Tom kind of said it, you get the GPX, you get the stats, and Worlds is always different. Like, I don't care where you go, because there's never any real description of footing. And even if they put some pictures out there, it's never the same. And like, you can even say that like for Sunapee, we could take pictures and show the elevation gain, and we're still going to have people come back and say, wow, it was totally different than what I expected. And I think that's part of the challenge is there's always a guesstimate. And so you're balancing, like, who do you think are the athletes that are going to perform well on a world stage, and that mixture of different people. Like, I was so psyched to see, like, some of these, like, first time on the team people, Jane, Ruby, they just crushed it. Yeah. That was so exciting to see, like, and even them coming to the aid stations, like, they were focused, like, beyond focused on just coming in, getting their stuff, leaving, and just so strong. So I think that, to me, was the most exciting part to see, was how well some athletes, Anna's another one, how well some athletes did. It's not the first time they've been in a competitive European race, but it's their first time on the team. And they just, like, showed why they belong there, which was great.
I do have one more, I kind of like a selection question for you guys. And I don't know, Tom, I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but Paul, maybe you can answer it, or either of you. Why is it different on the vertical, like the selection wise? Like, why do I have to go earn my spot for vertical and classic versus there's resume spots for long trail and short trail? Like, why is it mixed up like that?
I think it's a matter of being realistic of people's seasons. So if I'm going to do the qualifier for long trail, that has a huge impact on what else I can plan out in my race season, as opposed to, think of some of the elites who do the Cirque Series. They could do that race every weekend, right, 8 weeks in a row, and they'd still be fresh. And so that's why, because at one point we used to have, like, multiple selection races for vertical and classic. And at the end of the day, we found one was the neatest way to do it for the short races, because everybody can come in pretty fresh to race that, and then they could go do another race the following weekend and they're still recovered.
Interesting. Do you think there'll ever be a time, because I just find it interesting, like, I don't know, do you think there'll ever be a time where we either expand the teams, like there's more athletes as the sport continues to grow, or for the classic and vertical, if there will ever be resume spots available?
I don't know. I think I think for vertical and classic, I don't think there really needs to be. I think like, if you want to be on the team, I think you need to be there. That needs to be a focus. Yeah.
And in terms of it, and expanding the teams, you have to also factor in, like, Spain, US, Germany can all field 6-person teams. Some can only field 4. So I think there's a fairness factor there of why they wouldn't expand, because they want to continue to encourage as many countries as possible to be able to score for teams with the 3 scorers and the trail stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Uganda, dude, out of nowhere. I did try to do research on them ahead of time. Couldn't find anything on the internet. And they showed up. Those guys are legit.
They always show up. They show up every year.
They do. I know. I don't know why I would think naively, like, this year wouldn't be a year where they do amazing. It's just interesting. Their athletes are crazy. All right, let's kind of double back then. And I want to talk about some different storylines within the different races. So one being long trail, we had some, I guess there was... Hillary had to kind of jump up and do the double after doing the VK. Can you guys talk about kind of the storylines that unfolded with the long trail specifically for Team USA?
Well, so, and Tom, how about you do the men, and I can share just because of the background there of so Jen freak fall training on the course and tweaked her hamstring pretty badly and kind of was a wait and see. And then our team PT person, Carol, evaluated her in person, and kind of the feeling was, like, Jen tried to run 10 minutes, and by the end of 10 minutes, it was real questionable. And, like, if she was doing a 5K, maybe she'd do it, but it's like that to risk her whole career potentially by turning around and doing the 80K, it just wasn't worth it. I actually admire her, because that has to stink to get there and be that close. This is the second time this has happened to her. It happened in Thailand as well for long trail. But we had to give Hillary a heads up. Like, Jen had said, this might be an issue. She had reached out to us and wasn't sure, and we would know closer to the race. But we had to get a hold of Hillary before she left so she could bring all her gear. And so I think it was Tom and Anita both reached out to Hillary and just checking, are you on board to do this? And she was like, sure. sure. Kind of thing.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
No, she stepped up.
Yeah.
We had to convince her. We had to sweet talk her. Actually, I just bullied her the entire time until she said yes.
But like she joked about, she had one 20-mile road run and a bunch of short vertical stuff as her training for her
Right.
80K race. So it's mind blowing to me that like she made the cutoff, she finished, she was strong. Like, and honestly, she wasn't even as sore. Like the next day, I expected to see her like hobbling around the streets. She wasn't. It was crazy.
She had a blast too. She was coming into the aid station. She was having an absolute blast. So
yeah.
And she's
that's her personality. She's there can't anything no raining clouds in her life, I don't think.
And I should clarify too, like it was too close to Worlds. We did have another alternate. It was too close to Worlds to pull somebody else in on the team at the last minute.
Right. And no, I think it was a great choice given Hillary's background too, with sky running, also with the high end ultra running stuff, doing lots of 100-milers. Like she's got a lot of experience kind of across a breadth of distances. So yeah, I think if there was anybody you were going to pull up to do it, like that's definitely the person to step in, and I think it's a good selection.
And Tom, I was going to say, you're going to talk about the men. You want to just?
Yeah, if we're just talking about the one DNF, Caleb just had a weird fall. That's part of the game. I think he fell around mile 10 or so. He walked out to the road. His wife was there. She picked him up. It was just a freak thing. So, but it's interesting that it's how fast your day can end.
Yeah.
It's especially since you're out there he was out there for weeks before training.
Yeah.
Nothing. No accidents, and just any given Sunday, right?
Yeah. Well, I remember Jen said she was a mile from her car when the fall happened. It wasn't, she was, way deep in the wilderness. It was just a freak thing. Like to me, what's most impressive is I feel like anybody talking about the race ahead of time, Caleb and Jen were mentioned as part of our scoring members of the team.
100%.
And so to me, like the admirable part is silver medals still for both teams. Like people like Adam and Allison and Shay, that like they just all stepped up. And they already were doing well, but like coming into that last aid station, it was a lot of like encouragement, and a few of them, they were hurting coming into that aid station. And it wasn't like they just had 5K left. They had a big climb, they had a descent and everything. It was just like, that to me is like, what's so amazing is that team aspect. They were like, all right, I got to do it. I got to step up. I got to keep going.
Where were you guys stationed throughout the long trail? Like as far as for crew and stuff like that, were you constantly moving from location to location, or
two different locations? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They were about an hour and 10, 15 minutes apart. So we actually had to split up just because Walmsley was about to get to the second aid station while some were still coming through the other. So we had to haul.
Interesting. Is it?
Let's talk about that, because I don't think a lot of people realize this. Like long trail and short trail aid stations aren't what we're used to, right? Yeah. We're used to you have your 5 friends, your wife's there, she's massaging you, you're getting your favorite food. You have a table that's 3 feet long with 12 people stuff on it. And there's only 3 volunteers or 3 crew allowed for the whole team. So we need to be super organized, and we need to know exactly what each person has. When they come in and throw it down, we need to know where that goes next. Because if they're doing a vest swap and they need it at the next aid station, now we still have to have everything else to refill that and get it to the next aid station. So there's a lot of complexity to that. And it sounds easy, but it's not. It's complete mayhem when 3 runners come in at the same time.
Yeah.
It's all hands on deck kind of thing. So
did different people have different jobs, or like how did you guys like break that up?
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like it was primarily Tom and Anita were filling stuff. And then sometimes Jen was actually part of our crew then. So she was helping as well. And then like I was telling them where to go, because like you have to picture it's a ski area lodge where they've set up the tables in a maze for all the countries. So you're literally going winding around, and you're trying to tell them where the USA table is. And, you're coming in, you're exhausted and everything. So it's like getting them there. And then we also had another person, Josh, and sometimes Jason, were out on course ahead of the aid station. So we'd have a 5-minute warning on who was coming in. So we'd make sure their bags were the most prominent ones too. And then like Tom said, like at one point for Long Trail, he was like, Anita and I need to go. And so myself, Josh, and Jen stayed to get the rest of the women's team to get them, and then we packed up and moved over. But we even had to rush because there was some stuff from that first aid station that Tom needed for the women as they came into the second aid station. And you're just like and honestly, you're navigating a little bit of cultural stuff of the aid stations aren't necessarily set up by runners. They're set up by, I need to fit 70 countries in this room. Right. So it's a little funky, and you want to be polite but firm on, yes, this is our table and we're allowed to have people here. And so there's a little bit of that fun navigation too.
Chaos, straight chaos, it sounds like.
Oh, and then we have to talk about it. It wasn't at the aid station. There were two bolts. So the second,
right,
the second aid station. No, it was the first aid station. So this is kind of the funny part, James, and like this is the stuff like it's like adventure. They give you a pin of where to go for the aid station. Well, we get there and there's as Josh described it, a Walking Dead level gate at the entrance to the ski area, and it's completely dark because the sunrise there was like 7:45, and we're like trying to figure out whether to go in. Well, I called one of the aid station or one of the officials or whatever, and they're like, yeah, you can open the gate. I didn't read the Spanish. Tom read it later on. It essentially said, don't leave the gate open because there's bulls and cows inside. Like literally there were wild animals, just free grazing. Well, so we get into the aid station. We're trying to figure out where to set up. Well, after a few people came in, there were two bulls trotting down the mountain, and they almost gored somebody, not a runner, but a fan. Like they almost gored them, and they just kept going. And you're like, yeah, we're not in the US right now.
Oh my God. That is nuts.
Yeah.
It was way closer than it needed to be.
Yes. Like it was like you're watching it. You know how like you see like a slow motion play in a sporting event?
Oh yeah.
And it like seems more painful. It was moving in slow motion. We're like watching this bull going, no, it just missed him.
So when it happened, I'm like, "Where's Sarah Alonso for this?" Because she was, she literally, she's like, "I'm right here,"
and she's showing us her MRI pictures to show where she was gored and everything. Yeah.
Was it was it a cow or was it a bull that attacked her?
No, I think it was just a regular, just a steer, a cow. These were bulls. These were
they had horns.
Boys.
Yeah, that's not what you don't want to get hit by one of those. That's you don't want to be a matador. That's not fun, not ideal.
No.
But like kind of the adventure there, like that's what I mean. Like it's funny. Okay, you had to open this gate. Like in the US, if I drove up to a ski area and there was a giant gate locked, I wouldn't open that gate and go in. I'd expect. Right. This was just like, yep, just go in, just close the gate. And also it's like, those are some of the funny navigational things that happen as you're trying to figure out, okay, this is where it is. Yeah. And you keep going and then we got there and like there's an alarm going off in the building, which wasn't us. It was the aid station volunteers that set it off. But part of me was thinking, did that go off because we opened the gate? Like, and that's just kind of the part of the fun adventure stuff on the side as you get into the aid stations.
I love it because
it's not that fun at the moment.
Now it's funny. Yes.
Now it's funny.
It's the stories that people follow the race and try to learn more about it, whether it's on social media but these are not the stories that get told. So I appreciate you guys. Like the bulls, that's wild. Like it's interesting stuff. Was it hard to get from location to location? Like was it a navigable course? Like being able to just drive from A to B or no, like not at all?
I mean, it wasn't short course. Aid station 1 was a pain, but the rest of them were pretty easy. Yeah.
It was more like the hour and 10 minutes or whatever it was. It was because there was a mountain between the two aid stations. So you had to like drive way down and then go around to the other side of the mountain to get there.
Little unknown fact about Spain. They love roundabouts. Didn't know that. There's about 47 every mile. It's ridiculous. You just go through roundabout after roundabout after roundabout all the time.
Yeah, there were 30 roundabouts between Canfranc and the Barcelona airport because we were bored and counted them.
That's terrible. All right, let's pit off aid stations and long trail. I want to get into let's talk about the mountain classic and the vertical. Let's start about the vertical first. Like the first thing that stood out to me for the vertical was just Anna Gibson. Like as far as on the women's team, like dude, like I mean Anna's capabilities are kind of crazy. Like she really blew me away. And then same with the men's team. I was very impressed with the men's team, especially after I heard that Joe had taken a fall scouting and just didn't have the day that he wanted to have and had a rough day. I know Tyler got back behind some of the group with the kind of the mass crazy start and was able to kind of pull it together. The men's team like stuck out to me as well. So maybe if there's any stories or just anything that like stands out to you guys, put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I was on course. I went from the summit down to about 1 mile, and I mean, it was crazy steep. It was no joke. Also, it was super cold that night, so there was frost on everything. So it was really slick. But to see them and how hard they were working, it was awesome. It was unbelievable. I think Cam Smith kind of gets, looked over, but man, does he work hard. When he sees that he can pass people and he's almost there, he just tucks his chin and he just digs.
He's a dog, man. 11th. Like, yeah, I love Cam. Good human too. Anything more on the women's side or anything that stuck out to you guys, Paul or Tom?
Well, one thing I thought was really cool is afterwards talking to Anna, she was excited that her schedule finally worked out to be at Worlds. And to me, that's like a reminder of how popular Worlds has gotten. I was doing other stuff, track stuff, but also then, in Golden Trail Series or whatever. And so to me, that's really exciting that the schedule worked out this year, that we could have the best of the best vying for the team and everything. And that was just so cool to see her out there. She looked just like it's gonna be. She was just crushing it. Or the way, I saw the live stream of Broken Arrow and just, I love seeing that we truly have our best top people there at these races.
Yeah. I don't think we know how good. I think between Lauren Gregory, I think a lot of the team, but like Lauren Gregory and Anna Gibson, like I don't think like we've reached the ceiling yet. I think we have years to go.
Agreed.
To see. I think like there's potential like world champions. I think in this group, even what came out this year.
And I think that'll expand too when companies start to recognize that Worlds is cool.
Yeah.
Like right now, these guys are doing this 0 bonuses.
Right. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
It's a shame, man. Like some people turn down the spots because it's a financial burden. Really, I mean, when it comes down to it, if your team or your company that's sponsoring you is not backing this, you have to, and you can get a bonus somewhere else. You have to put the other race in the forefront, right?
Did you guys read Caleb's Substack? I mean, he threw some ideas. I highly recommend if you haven't read it yet, but like I can link it in the show notes. He just threw out some good ideas for like 2027. And one of them was discussing just the buy-in from our individual sponsors for this team. Like obviously, the team is kitted out in Nike. You wear your brand shoes that you're sponsored by, yada, yada, yada. But I think he threw out some ideas for how do we get the individual brands more bought in on the world side, whether like you said, whether it's from a bonus perspective and have buy-in from there, or just buy-in in general, get them excited. Maybe there's a way that we can work something out so the brands can sponsor something so they can be a part of it as well. So there's mutual buy-in. I don't know. There was like a million ideas thrown out, but yeah, I think that's how we get this thing to the next level. So where it's competing, not that it already isn't, but it is competing against, I guess, the UTMB. But how do we get this thing bigger to where it is the world championships and there's tons of buy-in?
Right. And I mean, one of the things next year,
go ahead, Tom, sorry.
In 2 years, it won't compete, right? So it'll be in November.
Right.
So there'll be enough time between those. And then the other thing I was going to say is, I mean, the Olympics, they figured it out with the brands. Right. The best of the best is going, whether they're sponsored, who their sponsor is, they're going. So that, they figured it out. I mean, somebody smarter than us can figure this out, but I mean, it's it's definitely doable.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny you say that, Tom, because I was just going to point that out. I feel like, James, 10 years ago, U.S. track championship, well, maybe not U.S., but like world track teams, Olympic teams, there was much more of a battle of whether they, the swoosh and everything. But in the last two Olympics, I feel like we've seen it where, you have On athletes there, you have Brooks athletes, you have Adidas athletes, and they're still wearing the swoosh. And but those companies are very interested in having their athletes there. And I'm hoping that same mindset will move over to this World Champs as well, because it's the same thing. I feel like it's just, we're 10 years behind the track world in that, but it's the same challenge.
Do you think it's maybe just a matter of getting, I don't know, like you guys getting the race director, or not the race director, sorry, the athlete managers in a room and just having conversation, some of the decision makers at Brooks, Hoka, Las Petit, whatever, having conversations individually with them, or getting them all with some kind of, summit or discussion, just to figuring out ways that we can just get buy-in from the brands moving forward, or get people to connect more on it. Because it's the thing, like it's a special thing for us as athletes to go do something like this. So they might as well support it. Like if you quote unquote support your athlete, you're going to support this, I don't know. It's kind of like my take on it, but
you would think that's how it worked. That'd be way too easy.
It's true. It's true.
I will say Brooks had a big presence.
Oh
there.
Yeah.
They
Absolutely.
had multiple reps there, multiple people from there, Adam Chase and others. And they obviously had a lot of athletes there, and they celebrated them even, though people weren't wearing Brooks clothing to race in. So I feel like Brooks bought into it. And now it's hoping to get other brands on board as well to buy into it. I also think like nothing like popularity and FOMO to get you there of, it's whether, live stream is perfect or not. There's a lot of attention on this event. Like Free Trail was there.
Yep.
They've never been there before. That to me is another statement of, we're getting more and more people on site interested in this event. And I think that will over time change because, why do they go to Chamonix? Because there's a scene. Like it isn't just the races, there's a scene. And so we want our athletes seen at that scene. I think it's getting worlds. It's getting closer, but it's getting to be that scene as well.
I think South Africa has potential too. I think it's that area of the world, just the infrastructure perspective. Like they already put on UTCT. It's kind of, actually, do you guys know how that like interacts with UTCT in November? Because that's a November race as well. Like,
I think they're going to kind of, I talked to Stu for a little bit about it, and I think he may do it just like Austria was. So Austria, I think, had their Adidas Terex race basically the whole week. And then it just kind of flopped over and they just kept going. Oh, so wow. It was almost like a week and a half worth of races for all the distances.
That's sweet.
And I remember in Argentina in 2019, that was the first time they had mountain, and then they also had a long mountain. And that was part of a Argentine 42K. I forget the name of the race, but they had a citizens race as well. And then they had the elite races. And so that's what I think they'll do. Because honestly, James, that helps fund it.
Yeah.
Too. Hey, I can participate in the races that's part of the World Championships. That's got to help Stu in terms of funding, and more exposure if you can make the thing a whole week-long event.
Which would be sweet. I mean, it's amazing for the sport. It's good for everyone involved, if anything. I do have a question for qualifiers for 2027. I know we're so early thinking about this, but like I've heard ideas thrown around and I actually really liked it. Not that it's easy to make it happen, but why don't we just make UTCT the qualifier for 2027, like in 2026? Could that be?
Who's going there?
I have no idea. That's the question.
Who's got the travel budget for that to go?
If there's any private benefactors out there that want to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's wishful thinking. It could be cool. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Do we even have an idea yet of what like the 2026 U.S. Mountain Running Championships is going to be yet? Like of where or what?
No. For 2026, we don't.
Still too early.
They haven't been selected yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, sorry. I'm a little ahead of myself there. All right, let's bounce back to the races. I do want to talk a little bit about short trail because that stuck out to me as well. A lot of newbies. Like, I really loved seeing Jane and Ruby absolutely crush it. Like, was there any takeaways from their races or anything from that?
I would just say the composure, like to see them come in for being newbies, they were cool, calm, collected, just business as usual, which was interesting. It was awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Well, and even like Tabor, who's self-professed of that was not her course. She was pushing it coming into the aid stations. Like, it was really impressive to see where she wanted to be. I felt super bad for Helen because she had fallen knee injury like a couple weeks before, and it showed up like on the first descent. And so I honestly give her a huge amount of credit. She could have dropped. She didn't have the day she wanted. And like, she knew that coming into the first aid station. She was saying, she's like, my knees, I will not say the word, but yeah, no, she's like, my knees effed and it's done. And like, so to keep going on a course like that, I just have huge admiration that she would stick it out to finish the race at Worlds. But just like, it was really cool to me to see, like, it wasn't just the people with the most experience who did well. It was some of the newcomers, and that was so cool.
Yeah, I don't think we know how good Jane and Ruby are yet. I think we're still figuring it out. Especially, like, I know Ruby like had a great race at Broken Arrow, so did Jane as well. But Jane even more so, like, now with like first with the Grand Teton, and then destroying it on the I would have loved to have seen her too on the Mountain Classic circuit, because she wins just about every Cirque Series race she races. So she would have been kind of a good selection for that as well had she shown up to Sunapee. Like, it would have been interesting if she would have tried to mix it up there. But yeah, a lot of range, just a very talented, a lot of very new talented athletes in the sport, which is pretty cool.
I feel like this whole thing we've just been tiptoeing around our boy. Like, let's just go right into talk about Noah.
Dude, I gotta say, man, Noah. You know what? I think, you know what, man? I got to give Noah his flowers. I think a lot of people let's just say, like, on a team that had Eli Hemming, David Sinclair, Michelino, Seth, it was a deep team. And like,
on paper, it's so deep.
and Noah, I mean, you know what? I think what tipped me off was Noah, like, has just been very consistent all year. That Broken Arrow result was damn good. And then had a great result at Series and all that I feel like was a little overlooked. I think people weren't really looking at that. And then sure as shit, like, it had an amazing day out there. So yeah, I got to give Noah like huge props.
Yeah. He
passed somebody in the last like 100 meters on the road. Like, that, even that was cool to see. He was just like, I'm going for it. And he looked like a happy track athlete at that point, and to even have the hop to be able to do that. But yeah, he just had such a great day. Like, I feel like he pushed it, he stuck with others, and then others faded. He kept going. I think he took a big risk to do that. Like, yeah, he may have known his fitness, but he still took a risk to do that, and it obviously paid off. I was so psyched to see him do that. Plus, New Hampshire roots.
That's right.
Remember, we're celebrating that. Yes.
Another New Hampshire guy.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you guys. And this is more of a selection question. Like, being as though Eli and David both had CCC in their legs, and it was very evident. And this is no disparagement. I think they ran great races. I know both those guys. Immense respect for both of them. Do you think in future years, if it is that close, is there going to be more of a conversation like around those things? Or do you have to just let, it's a weird conversation to have, right? Because, like,
we had that conversation over and over and over. And what do you do?
Right.
Do you tell me that they're not selected because they're doing another race that they can make money at?
Right.
That's not fair. It's that sticky money thing again, right? It's just.
I mean, look at Sinclair. I mean, he had such a great CCC result that, like, I mean, we all knew David's like one of the best in the world, but like, life-changing result for him in a lot of ways. Like, he's able to be a full-time athlete now. That might have not happened had he not gone to CCC and had an amazing day. So
right.
It's a tough conversation, right? It's like, I don't know, like, we need more buy-in from the brands to have those bonuses, so you don't have to make that choice. Like, that really is what it comes down to,
Right. Well, and it's funny too, because we get some heat as the committee being like, well, we know, we're well aware that they were running these races. We've hemmed and hawed for a month over it too. Don't think that we haven't like gone up and been like, all right, this is a problem. You think they can do it? Who can do it? What would we have done if some of the top long trail also wanted to do UTMB?
Right.
Where would we have stood there? I mean, we're not going to stop Jim and Katie, from doing that and then coming to do Worlds. It's on the athlete on that. We can only put forward what we, what we decide.
Well, and both Eli and David afterwards did say like they could feel CCC in their legs, but I think both, like when Tom was talking earlier about how hard the courses were, I don't think anybody expected the short trail course to be that hard.
No.
So if it had been a little less elevation or a little bit less, ridiculous straight up climbs, I think they both would have been more recovered. That probably doesn't make sense to say it that way, but it was like, because this race was so hard, I don't think anybody factored in how hard that short trail race was going to be.
Yeah, that course was gnarly. Michelino was out there like weeks and weeks before, and I had him telling me all about it, and I was like, "Oh man, don't cut the switchbacks." Like, it just seemed gnarly and tough, and I don't know. I genuinely just felt like and maybe I'm naive, but like I just kind of figured like they would just be recovered in time, and it really wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I guess the level of that type of race for 100K and going that hard like really does like just neuromuscular fatigue, like really just like that's probably plays a small role. So,
well, and I think if anybody can recover, like David was Nordic background, and some of like 20, I think this was before like there was a big focus on Worlds, but 2019 he ran the classic race. It was 2 insane up and down laps, and then we needed somebody for the long trail, which was a trail marathon that Jim won, and Poopy was second. David said, "Oh, I'll run that too," the next day. And he finished like 13th because his legs gave out on the last. Like, he's just such an animal. To me, if anybody was going to be able to recover off of that, it was him. And that to me shows you how tough the course was.
Dude he's one of the best in the world easily. Like, I have such immense respect for both of them, him and Eli as well. But like, just some of the like the mythical stories I've heard of David Sinclair, like it's cool. It's interesting. I got him, dude. I had him on the podcast the other day. I got him talking about like lactate threshold heart rate and stuff like that. The guy is a brain also. Like he knows his training so well. I'll save that. I'll like let listeners listen to that episode so they can hear all. Like he was like pretty open about his heart rate data, and I was like, oh my god, like you can sustain like 195 beats per minute for that long, like that's nuts. Anyway, guy's a freak. Anything? Do you want to get into U20 as well? Because I didn't follow those races or that race enough to be able to commentate on anything aspect of it. I know like you and I have had some discussions on U20. In the past as well, and I do want to get them on the podcast, but maybe open it up and talk a little bit about their race as well.
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple like really cool milestones. 10 years ago, people doing U20 were like, oh, this is interesting. I get to wear a U.S. uniform, and you'd never see him ever again. And that's changing, where trail is becoming a huge option for people. Like one of the Sierra Wall, like when she was shopping around to colleges, she had like a clause in there of, if I make the team, I want to be able to do it. Will you let me do that if I run for you? Like nobody would have done that 10 years ago. I love seeing that. All of the U20 came in with some level of mountain experience. 3 of them came in from the U18 team from Spain last year. And it's just, you're getting people like Sofia Rodriguez just set the state record for cross country in Washington State at age 16, I think, at like a 16 and change for cross country at age 16. So it's like, to me, we're just getting better and better athletes for the U20 team. And then we dropped the curveball in of full Uganda and Kenyan teams in front of them this year. Like, if I think that didn't happen in the past. They might have 1 or 2 U20 athletes from Kenya or Uganda. And so the fact that the boys were like, I think they were a point out of third, and we had 2 guys in the top 10, like that's incredible. Like competing at the world stage like this, and they're competing against Spain, got to train on the course, I'm sure, and things like that. Like show you the level of the competition. The woman who won U20 2 years ago was from Spain, and she won U18 the same year. I think she was like 7th or 8th this year. Like
Wow.
that's how much the competition has gone up. But to me, the big story there is like we just have young people that are looking at trail and saying, I want to do trail. And that's the best thing that could ever happen to our side of the sport is not like, oh, I'm going to run track and this is a fun side thing. No, they want to do trail. And that's just so cool to see.
It's interesting. So that's the conversation then. Like, are these kids realizing now, especially getting to see your Katie Scheids, Jim Walmsley's, and a lot of these athletes that are competing at the professional level, these kids come in, are they fully understanding like, yeah, like I can make this a career like after college? Like, so that once we have that attachment and buy-in from a lot of these college kids, I think that's going to raise the sport up so much.
Well, I know you've had Oakley Olson on a couple times. She's like the huge ambassador for doing this type of stuff. And Tom, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I drove the girls to the start line. I'm not sure if they're thinking about this as a career. These girls have their lives planned out. They're talking about what they're going to school for, where they're going to be next year. Like they're like full on boss women. Like they've already got their business planned out. And so this, I think they'll be in the sport, but I don't think they're gonna want or need financial backing. I think they're ready to go.
I love it. Yeah, it's I don't know. The sport is changing so much now. Like we talked about offline before, like before we started recording, like just how competitive it's gotten in the last few years. And like every year it seems to get like 5 to 10% better, like easily with just the amount of depth now at some of these races. It's interesting. So it's good to see the future's bright, especially for the American side. Cause like, I don't know, years ago, I always feel like the European athletes were just so different. Like they grew up doing different sports. It wasn't necessarily cross country and track. We came from cross country and track, and it was just a different thing. And now you kind of see it meeting in the middle on the mountain running scene, and we're competing on a world stage now. I feel like, I don't know, you guys can speak to this better than I can, but do you feel like we got more respect worldwide? Like the Americans like showed up and like really performed?
Oh, that's
I don't know whether, like, I feel like the last 2 worlds we've had some amazing performances as well. I don't know.
Because I feel like this time around we were deep everywhere. Like these were all like super, like we're sent truly our best.
It's a great question. I'm not sure how to answer that. I maybe just from my standpoint, I thought we were always there. I don't think it's like something new. I think that the top countries have much more respect for each other right now. I think they see that anybody could take this. I don't think there's a big of a gap between the top 5 countries. I think that they're all 1 or 2 people away from gold.
Well, and related to that, Canada won a team medal for the first time ever.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember talking to one of the British coaches, and they were saying, like, used to be it was some version of the U.S. and Italy and Great Britain and maybe one other country on the podium. And now we've got, people from Sweden and people from Switzerland and just all over Spain and other places, as well as the African countries. And that to me is really cool. Like, it's one thing to be the dream team, but if it's the dream team without competition, but now, like, getting on the podium at all is probably more of an achievement now than a gold medal might have been 15 years ago. So it's like, that's what I love to see is you really have to earn a spot to get on the podium now.
When you said Sweden, the first thing that came to my mind was Toby Alexandersson.
Yeah.
Like, what a performance. Like, if there was a performance of the weekend, like that's one of them. What was your takeaway from that? Because that was so dominant.
I know my first takeaway was, wait, that was the first woman?
Yeah.
So, because you're like, you kind of have in your head when people are going to come through. And I forgot she was racing, and it was just insane how far ahead she was.
Yeah. It's crazy. Absolutely.
Yeah. I was on the mountain watching it, and watching her pass some of our top men, I was like, I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah, she's monster, total monster. Is there anything you feel like we didn't hit? Any topics you guys wanna get to? Because we're at about an hour. I feel like we.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
one last thing I did want to give a shout out to is we were talking about team and everything. Women's classic race.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Like Lauren, she passes somebody in the last 1,500 meters, almost got fourth. But then to watch Anna and Courtney work together was so cool. Like they were working like a cross country team trying to place. I think they were shooting for gold, but they got the position they did because of the way they were pushing. And that's something you're not going to see at a regular race. And to me, that was like the whole magic of Worlds is I'm going to work with my teammate to score. And they certainly did in that race. It was so cool to see.
Very special. I mean, it was a special team for me too, because like, I don't know, I felt like we got to follow them from Sunapee when we picked the team or when they in their spot, and then all the way through to this journey to where they're racing on race day. And this is kind of the culmination of it. It was very special. It was very fun to watch, but, and the men's team as well, the Mountain Classic, like such a deep field, such a like competitive group. And yeah, it was very, very fun to follow.
Yeah, and I haven't talked to Mason about his actual time, but he decided like, yeah, I'm going to go out with the Africans in the first flat road section. The fact that he held on at all was crazy. And he went for it. And I like that was impressive. Like Taylor's race too. I don't want to diminish any of them.
Yeah.
But the fact that Mason is out there hanging out with people like I don't know, Tom, whether you heard, like, I'm sure that was a sub-4 start to that race. It was just crazy. And then they go from that to the mountain and he held right with them. Last 1,000 meters, like the look on his face, he had drained every ounce out of himself. It was impressive how much he pushed himself. And I love seeing athletes progress like that.
Yeah.
I think the world's atmosphere brings that out because it's team competition. You don't want to let your team down. There's other people that are relying on you. And I think that makes this so much different, at least from inside the team's portion, maybe not externally. They don't feel it, but from inside, I think that they felt it all weekend long that, you didn't want to let your teammate down.
I do want to bring up something, kind of a through line on team that really stuck out to me when I was doing the preview episodes. Like Cam Smith, and maybe you guys can add some more color to this, because I feel like Cam, obviously coming from like the World Schemo background or USA Schemo and, trying to be an Olympian this year, like Cam has a ton of experience. And I felt like he really brought that to the team, getting a team camp together. And I know he kind of coordinated with you guys in the beginning for putting that together. Like, can you talk a little bit about maybe Cam just like stepping up in like almost like a leadership position for the Mountain Classic and kind of vertical teams?
Well, I think like to me, it's funny because Cam is so easygoing and chill. I'm not sure if you were talking to him, you immediately say, yeah, he's the guy who's going to put the hammer down in the last, 100 meters of a straight up race, but he does. So to me, it's, and you always have different personalities, but yeah, I loved like when I learned from him that he was doing that team camp thing and everything, we were talking about it. It was like, what a great bonding opportunity. Cause that is something all the European teams, they have funded team camps. Instead, Cam found a creative way to have a team camp to bond, without that funding. And so just like major props there that, he thought that was important, because I think it's important too. And like we have our teams spread so much geographically, they don't necessarily get to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's an important thing for future teams. Like I hope other teams and I hope members that make the team in 2027, if there's any rollover, as I'm sure there will be, I hope people kind of took notes on that to kind of carry that tradition through, because I think the cohesiveness helps a ton for just teamwork. And like, kind of like Tom said, like when it's just a different thing when you're competing for a team. So yeah. Cool. Yeah, guys, I think that's all I got. If you guys got anything else.
No, I think we're good. Thanks for having us on, James. And thanks, honestly, for everything you did to promote the athletes beforehand. Like it was like every week, oh, another athlete from the team is on. Oh, another athlete. So that's just awesome that you're like so knee deep in this. I love it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the kind words. And yeah, hopefully we're just building till 2027. We'll go start figuring out what's next for that. So appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thanks so much to Tom and Paul for coming on the pod. Really appreciate their time and everything that they do for our great sport. Guys, one thing I do want to make a note of, and I think it's really important to for all of you, especially for audience and athletes, and those alike to understand, is that these are all volunteer positions. None of these are paid positions. So everything that Tom and Paul do going out there for Worlds and Canfranc, they're doing it not just out of the kindness of their hearts, but they're leaving their jobs and families to go do stuff like this overseas. And it is all volunteer. So guys, definitely want to give them a hats off, a round of applause, and a massive thank you for everything they do. And I want to make sure that that's kind of driven home, as it's extremely important that we have people like this in our sport that continue to donate their time, resources, and et cetera, because they want to move the sport forward. So definitely hats off to both gentlemen amongst the rest of their team for doing what they do. So thank you to both. Guys, the best way you could support them, Tom and Paul are co-race directors of a bunch of badass Northeast races at 603 Endurance. Check out the Centipede Scramble. This past year, the Centipede Scramble was the USATF mountain running championship for the United States, which was pretty dope. So next year we'll have a mountain running championship. Maybe it's Centipede Scramble, maybe it won't be, not sure, but definitely check out Centipede. It's a badass race, super fun. And also Loon, check out Loon Mountain Race as well. It's another one of the crown jewels of the area, as well as the Kismet Cliff Run, which is another dope one that takes place usually in the early parts of the fall year. All three iconic races. Definitely want to support both of these guys by checking out some of the races in the New England area. So last but not least, guys, the best way you could support the podcast, two different ways. One is if you enjoyed this episode, amongst others, give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you consume your podcast. And then very last but not least, another way you could support us is by supporting our brand partner, Ultimate Direction. Use code SteepStuffPod. Again, that's SteepStuffPod, one word, for 25% off your cart at ultimatedirection.com. They just dropped a bunch of new vests, including a new 6-liter race vest and a 12-liter ultra vest. Both are awesome, along with a pretty cool pole quiver as well to hold your poles. Check those out. In addition, the Comfort Belt is one of my personal favorites. It's great for the track if you need something to hold your gels, also for some of the shorter distances. And they also have a distance belt that's a little bit more robust, a little bit bigger. Definitely something to check out as well. So again, code SteepStuffPod, one word, for 25% off your cart. Guys, thanks so much. Got a bunch of fun stuff coming your way the rest of this week and into next week. Appreciate your support.